Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy April Fool's Day. Happy Sunday. Woo, what a combination. I'm Reverend C.C. Coltrane, and I am very delighted to welcome you this morning to Center for Spiritual Living Greater Dayton. If it's your first time here, thank you for sharing your morning with us. We hope you enjoy it and get something out of it, and we would very much appreciate your filling out the little tear-off strip that's on your bulletin so that we can drop a thank you note to you for being with us. We promise we won't give it away or sell it or do anything awful with your email address. If you just fill it out and tear it off and either drop it at the Welcome Center or you can put it in the offering basket when it comes around, that would be very helpful. Lana Mayhew is our pulpit assistant this morning, so she will be giving our reading and invocation. Oh, Molly. I know that dog, her name's Molly. She's a sweetheart. Our vigil holder is Jerry Blumgold, and Lana and Ken Spears will be offering our interfaith candle lighting this morning. And we do the candle lighting to remind us of all the wisdom that comes from all of the various religious and spiritual traditions around the world. There's so much good, wise teaching to be had when we open ourselves up to it. So we do the candle lighting to remind us of that. Our kids today are with Carol Hughesman. And the teens and tweens, if they're willing, are encouraged to help Carol out today because she's got something big happening back there. Otherwise, the teens and tweens are welcome to stay in the service with us. We'd ask y'all to head over to Carol's corner there while we, there we go. Let's just say a brief blessing for our youth and our kids today. Such bright points of light they are. We give great thanks for these beautiful youth that are with us today. They are reminding us that there's absolutely no reason not just to celebrate life, just to let the light shine, just to kick up our heels with delight. And so we bless them and all that they do today, knowing that they are learning and growing and teaching us. Thank you, God. And so it is. Have a great day back there, y'all.
Have fun. We love you.
So we're going to hear a really wonderful song that I'm sure you all know, and it's probably okay if we sing along, right?
Please.
Let it be.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
I'm happy to be here with all of you on this lovely Easter morning.
We're happy to have you.
Thank you. So, this is the beginning of the candle lighting ceremony. We light the first candle in honor of Native American religious traditions. O great Creator, I come before you in a humble manner and offer you this sacred pipe. With tears in my eyes and an ancient song from my heart, I pray. I pray for my relations in nature, all those who walk, crawl, fly, swim, seen and unseen, to the good spirits that exist in every part of creation. We light the second candle in honor of Buddhism, a mind unruffled by the vagaries of fortune, from sorrow freed, from defilements cleansed, from fear liberated. This is the greatest blessing. We light the third candle in honor of the Sufi tradition. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. We light the fourth candle in honor of Christianity. We are the children of light and love, the children of God. As such, we must have His qualities and His attributes of love, peace, and kindness towards all. We light the fifth candle in honor of Hinduism. Try not to change the world, you will fail. Try to love the world. Lo, the world is changed forever. We light the sixth candle in honor of Judaism. God is the mystery to which our lives are the answer. We light the final candle in honor of Taoism. Kindness in words creates confidence. Kindness in thinking creates profoundness. Kindness in giving creates love.
Surrender to the greater. Earnest tones. Jesus spoke these words, "Let not your hearts be troubled," with that calm certainty which has ever been given to the believing. He was not afraid. He had already plummeted the depths of human existence and penetrated into the beyond. Our hearts are troubled over many things, and our mental burdens often become unbearable. It seems at times as though a cup of bitterness were being held to unwilling lips with the demand that they drink. Jesus, standing at the threshold of his greatest experience, knew that he would turn apparent defeat into glorious victory. From calm depths of an undisturbed soul, he spoke words of comfort to those of lesser understanding. So if you can just take these words into that inner sanctuary for a few minutes. So how good it is to know that right where we are, God is, that every breath that we take is God breathing us. Every walk that and every way that we move is God moving us. We are the love and the light and the power of God that is embedded within every ounce of our soul. For God is the only power in this universe. And so I know that on this Easter Sunday that we are absolutely gathered here, just knowing that we are absolutely connected to one another with this love and light and energy of God that moves through us, as us, and around us at all times. And I give such thanks for this, knowing that we are absolutely so loved on this planet. And knowing that in this service today, it's in divine order and divine right action with our music ministry, with Reverend Cece, and with the Children's Church, and then all of us. And so I know that together we are absolutely part of this divinity. And I give such thanks for all of this time spent together today. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.
So did y'all get your name tags? Those are those binders over there. Put them on so everybody knows who you are. Or in case you forget. Oh, yeah. So it's April Fool's Day, right? I heard there was a church up in Pickwood that was celebrating. They sent their kids out to find eggs they never hid. Yes, they'll be out there for a while. So as I was preparing this message, I'd like to find out as much historical information as I possibly could, but nobody seems to know exactly when and where Jesus handed out the chocolate eggs. I could never find that out. Nobody knows. So now we've dealt with the April Fool's part. Let's get on to the real stuff. Here in the western part of the world, we celebrate Easter as a remembrance of the resurrection of this teacher, this great wisdom teacher named Jesus. And similar stories appear all over the Near East, from ancient Egypt through the mystery schools of ancient Greece and Iran and all sorts of places. It is an archetypal, hugely important theme for us human beings. It's about resurrection. But let's remember, you can't have resurrection without what comes before it. You can't have resurrection without death. Something has to die if it's going to be resurrected, and that is one of the points of this sacred story. And like all sacred stories, the story is designed to make us ask ourselves, what is in this story to guide my transformation? What does the story have to teach me about my own spiritual evolution? Jesus was a teacher of transformation, and this is a story about moving through transformation. I think Jesus was an extraordinarily evolved spiritual teacher who delivered a similarly extraordinarily evolved message, and there were very few who could catch it You know how he always said, let he who has ears to hear, hear, because most of them didn't. And so he was speaking to the few in the crowd who could understand the depth of his message. You know, okay, I know most of you guys don't get this, but there are one or two out there who do. I'm speaking to you, was what he was saying by that. So, you know, a couple thousand years later, maybe more of us are evolved enough to get it. Maybe more of us are evolved enough to really understand that this story was written to us, for us, about us. We can internalize it, and we can use it as the rabbi himself intended, to help us through the times of transformation, to help us get beyond the obstacles that appear, or that we throw up, on our road to enlightenment, on our road to salvation, if you will, on our road to Christ consciousness. I agree with Ernest Holmes in our reading this morning. Jesus spoke words of comfort, but he also spoke some words that were really challenging for us, didn't he? He said, y'all need to become transformed. You all need to hear what I'm saying and learn from it and follow it and open yourself to this anointed consciousness of oneness with all that is. Y'all are supposed to be evolving and growing and becoming more today than you were yesterday. And so the story of the last few days of Jesus' life, I think, is very instructive for us. It is a roadmap of transformation. And it starts in the garden. You know, some of the guys he hung out with were something else. He takes them with him to the garden and he says, stay with me, be with me, stay awake here. I'm going to go pray. And what do? They fall asleep. So much for your friends, right? They still weren't getting it. But he prayed anyway, and he said, Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass me by. Nevertheless, be it as you and not I would have it. It's a big deal. That is the most central point, I think, of this story of transformation. But they're real familiar words to most of us. Oh, I think I'll just pass on this transformation thing. Thank you very much. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do anything difficult. And Jesus is a human being. He doesn't want to walk through the valley of the shadow of death either. But yet he says, let it be as you and not I would have it. Central point. Surrender. We surrender the fear of transformation. We don't surrender to anything. We surrender that fear. We just let it go into the God of our understanding. And then comes the betrayal and the trial, which wasn't really a trial at all, and the crucifixion. And the message of the crucifixion, according to A Course in Miracles, is clear. The message is teach only love, because love is what you are. Crucifixion is about being stuck, stalled, at the point where our human fears intersect our infinite will, the will of that divine self within us. And it's about eliminating whatever's in the way of living that love that we are. It's about removing those barriers to love. It's about so loving the world that the world has changed, as our candlelighting readings talked about. It's about letting go of whatever's not useful to us anymore. You know, when we're unfolding, we do certain things, and sometimes they've served their purpose and they're not going to work any longer because we have changed. And if we don't either lift them up into a higher purpose or let them go altogether, we stay stuck. We stay stuck. That's why this is such a big story, I think. We don't want to let go of things. We say, I want to be changed, but please don't change anything about me. Right? Don't make me change anything. We think, well, it worked for me last time, I'll just do it again. And we grab a hold of it and we grasp it, and what we have to do is unclench, let go, realize that we're in a new place, and so what worked before isn't going to work now. We have to find something new. It never did work more than once, right? Yet sometimes we just keep trying the same thing over and over and expecting different results. In Alcoholics Anonymous, we call that insanity. But it's a very human thing. Pardon me. Oh, I think I've got it now. Good. This is such a big story because it's painful, sometimes very, very painful, to let go of our old ways of being and doing. Because we've got our grasp on them that's so tight. And sometimes it's painful, but in order to get to where our soul is leading us, we have to eliminate the resistance. Clara. Behind. We have to eliminate our resistance and our grasping. We have to either let go or lift up what has gone before in order to move into what we're supposed to do and be now. So that is one of the primary lessons, I think, is simply being willing to surrender and say to that higher voice within us, so it's not all about what the little me wants, it's about what you desire for me. And then the next lesson of this whole path of transformation comes in Jesus' words, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. This guy is in the middle of his own death, but he's saying, forgive them, because if they knew better, they would do better. Giant lesson for us. Surely we can let go of and forgive the small hurts and even the big hurts that we're undergoing, if that could happen. If Jesus can forgive those who are executing him, if the Dalai Lama can forgive the Chinese who overran his country and killed his fellow monks and countrymen, if Nelson Mandela can forgive the people who put him in jail for 27 years, surely we can find the forgiveness that we need to say, I am going to forgive this person because they were rude to me or didn't forgive me or whatever it is. See, these spiritual heroes remind us over and over and over again that we have to forgive those who've wronged us. Our parents, our teachers, our siblings, our kids, our whatever, our spouses, because they know not what they do. And we have to forgive ourselves because we don't know what we do either. Do we? We don't. We do stuff all the time that hurts somebody and we didn't mean it. It's not what we intended, but we hurt somebody nonetheless. We acted out of our own pain sometimes and lashed out at somebody and hurt them. And we didn't mean to do that. So we got to forgive ourselves too, because we don't know what we do either. What a lesson. What a lesson. And then Jesus speaks to his mother and his disciples. He says, behold your mother. Behold your son. Even in his moment of transformation, he's still teaching. He's still saying, let me remind you about what right relationship to one another is. Love and oneness and respect and devotion and honor for you and all other people, and from you to all other people. If there had been more ears to hear that lesson, the world might be a different place, right? So maybe let our ears be the ones who hear it today and realize that we can take that lesson deeply within and realize the truth of what Jesus is saying there and what the Buddha said too. He said, at some point, everybody's been your mother. And at some point, everybody's been your son. Remember that and remember to honor them and show them devotion and love and kindness and compassion. That will change everything. If there are enough ears who hear and take that inside and let it be what we live from, the world will change, will it not? It will. And then Jesus said something that causes people a lot of difficulty. He cries out, he says, my God, why have you forsaken me? How human, how completely understandable that is. In the middle of his the most difficult leg of his ever arduous spiritual path, Jesus did not mess around with his spiritual path. He suddenly feels alone and abandoned. And from time to time, don't we all? Especially here. The lesson, I think, here is that your feelings, your grief, your sadness, your fear, your sense of abandonment, they're all okay. It's okay to have them, and it's okay to feel them, because our feet stand on the foundational belief that God is present everywhere we are, no matter what. We wouldn't be whole people if we didn't sometimes feel like maybe God moved and didn't leave a forwarding address. But that's what we stand on. But it's always confusing and frightening when we're in the middle of a big change, a big transformation. It's always confusing and frightening. What you did then doesn't work now. Feeling confused and frightened doesn't mean you lack faith. It does not mean you don't have faith. It's when we try to cover up the confusion and the fear with bravado that we get in trouble. That's called spiritual bypass. And the result of spiritual bypass is that later on those feelings will come up to bite us when we're not aware of them. And they'll trip us up. But faith reminds us always that even though we're afraid, our feet stand on solid ground. It's holy ground we stand on all the time, no matter what. So we can go ahead, feel what we feel, be afraid and unsure and feeling abandoned, and feel it, whatever it is, and then take another step. And feel what comes then and take another step. That's how it works. You know, some Aramaic scholars, because Jesus spoke Aramaic, have an alternative translation for that little piece of language, which is intriguing and wonderful. Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. These scholars translate that as, my God, for this I was born. Quite a difference. Even in the midst of difficulties, transformation is happening. And Jesus was waking up to that. And it's for transformation that we're all born. We're all here to move from one state of consciousness into a higher one. We're all here to move from a place of maybe being more focused on ourselves to opening our hearts out. That's what we're here for. And so keep that in mind, that maybe there's a different meaning for all that even when it's happening. Because maybe it's for that we're born. Maybe we're there to say, I feel abandoned, I feel afraid, yet I know God is here. And now, always. And then Jesus said, I'm thirsty. You know, when we're at the bottom, when we're in the nadir of this journey of transformation, when we're in the darkest place of the darkness and we're afraid to go back and we're afraid to go forward, what we need then is to remember that vision that's big enough to remind us where we're going. What we're after is that stream of living water that rises up in us, the water of spirit that reminds us, this is what you're doing and this is where you're going. Your vision is transformation. And then we know which way to point our feet so that we can head out once again into the light. And after that, Jesus said simply, it is finished. And this is the realization that what we are letting go of in the moment is well and truly finished. We have let it go. Whatever it is, whether it's an old idea, an old way of being, an old resentment, an old attachment, a job we've hung on to, a relationship that we should have left, whatever it is, it's finished. It's time to lay it down. It's time to be free of it so that we can take that one big step into where we're being led, into the next phase of transformation. And then we come all the way back around again in the last words that were recorded in these synoptic gospels. Into your hands I commend my spirit. into your hands I commend my spirit. The only answer, again, is to surrender. That's the only answer. Surrender to that higher state of being that's within us. Surrender to the divine all around us, the divine that speaks to us through intuition and through that fountain of living water and through our vision. Surrender everything we've tried already. Surrender everything that's gone before to the possibility of what's happening now. Who are we becoming now? Surrender all that small stuff into what's becoming, what's greater, what's bigger, what's larger. See, we've been taught this is a moment of tragedy, but I don't think it is. I think it's a moment of joy. I don't think there's any greater joy than arriving at the place where you put it all down and say yes. You just put the stuff down that you've been carrying around. See, it's not surrender to. We're not surrendering our power. It's surrendering of. We surrender the junk, the baggage, the no, the I'm too small, the I don't want to, it's scary, I'm afraid. We surrender all of that and we just say yes. Try it with me. Throw your hands up in the air and you go, yes!
Yes!
Doesn't that feel good?
Yes!
Good work, Mark. There's so much glorious joy in that. In the simple surrender, it feels good. And then the last part of the story reminds us of what's just happened. Jesus appears again to his beloved friends. First the women, just saying. And then to the disciples, and they don't know who he is. They don't recognize him because he's not the same. He's been transformed. He's stepped into a whole new way of being. He's let go of everything that went before. He said a joyous yes to what's now happening. He's surrendered into his own transformation, and he's resurrected into something he's never been before, the thing for which he was born. So I think of this story as a blueprint for us, for our own transformation. If we can remember these things, remember this path that gets us closer to that consciousness that Christ had, the anointed consciousness of the Christ that Jesus had. See, it's anointed with love and wisdom and vision and oneness, and then there's some more love thrown in just for good measure. And that's the path, that is where the path we are on takes us, to that point of surrender, willingness, saying yes, and moving into something new. And we do it over and over and over in our lives. Sometimes it is painful beyond recognition. And other times when we look back on it, we think, why did I fight that so hard? But whenever it happens, it's because there's something in us that says, move this way, go this place, do this thing, let go of that, and say yes to this. And so in order that we may remember this for ourselves, we're going to anoint each other with the water of Spirit. If Lana and Stephanie will come up here. What we're going to do is have, we've prayed over this water, we have blessed it, we have called it forward as a way for us to remember what our souls have called us to do on this pathway of getting that anointed consciousness. So a practitioner will start at the end of the row and bless the hands of the person on the outside, and then that person will take the cup and anoint the hands of the person next to them, and so on down the row. And we'll just do this in silence, and I will start with these two, and they'll take it from there, and then we'll come back and pray together. And I invite you to just let your awareness move into that interior space where this spring of living water wells up in you. There is a place at your very core where vision arises, where love is all there is, where there is deep peace. And this is a place that I invite you to just become more and more and more aware of in this moment and in your lives. For it is here where we connect with the very truth of our being, that we are the place the divine shows up in our world, that we are embodied manifestations of the One. There's nothing else we could be. That in us dwells a spark of this divine intelligence that spoke into being the entire universe, and that continues to live in and as and through its creation, in every star and in every particle of stardust, in every space between stars and in every space between electrons. It is the stuff and the glue that holds it all together in this amazing universe in which we live. This universe of love and light, of life, of joy, of sorrow, of pain, of overcoming, of triumphant surrender, of absolute bliss. This universe in which we live, where, as the Jewish sage said, our lives are the answer to the mystery of God. And when we can remember that that universe is all around us, but also within us, we can touch this place of wisdom and love anytime we want or need. When we have something to surrender, we can simply take it here and say, not the will of the small, fearful me, but the will of this high, brilliant, wise me. That is the will I wish to follow. Whenever we become overwhelmed, whenever we thirst for a vision, whenever we doubt whether we stand on holy ground, we can return to this place within us and connect with the One, with the allness that is God. And so what I know for each one of us right now is that this blueprint of transformation is simply there for us to rely on, to lean into, to remember, and to follow, and to trust, so that each of us becomes all that we came here to be, and does all that we came here to do, with delight, with joy, and in peace. I know that each one of us stands forward and says yes to that moment of transformation as it comes, and that we simply walk through it with each other, hand in hand, holding each other up when necessary, watching each other's backs when necessary, and celebrating with each other always. For that is the real meaning of this amazing diversity and the unity. That we simply remember we are all one. We are all doing this thing together. And that makes it so sweet. And so in deep gratitude, I simply recognize the truth of this. I welcome it into my heart. I give thanks for it. I give thanks for everyone who is here today in celebration, knowing that each one of us finds a meaning that is ours individually, that sustains us. I say thank you, God. I let go. I let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Now we have an opportunity to give in support of the work of our community, the work that we do together. You know, here we serve each other in our own transformation, in the transformation of our world. That's what we're all about. And so, as we surrender to that today, let us affirm together. I know the activity of abundance in my life.
I know the activity of abundance in my life.
And in this center,
And in this center,
I give and receive generously
I give and receive generously
from this everlasting flow of good.
from this everlasting flow of good.
And so it is.
And so it is.
So a couple of quick announcements and then we'll get you off to your Easter lunches. How's that? I don't see either one, so I will make this announcement. It's time for our 8th annual Cooking with God. Yay! It's a fundraiser. And what it means is that you create an event that involves fun and food. It can be anything from jelly beans to a full course meal, multi-course meal. Whatever it is that you would like to create for some of your fellow community members. Set a date and a time, and then we'll put together a catalog and people will attend the event. The proceeds benefit the center, and you have a house full of wonderful people for an evening. Or you can do it at the center, or you can do it at a park, or you can do it anywhere that makes sense to you. You decide how many people you want and what kind of event it should be. There are flyers at the Welcome Center. That's a little booklet. And also at the front door and the door to the street that you can pick up and take a look. I think, what's the date we have to have events in?
April 15th.
April 15th, to have your events in, decided on and written up and turned in. And then after that, we'll start the process of getting tickets together and all of that kind of stuff. It's a great way to get to know people better, make some new friends, have a really good time, and benefit the center. So we have 4 events to hand it in so far. We just do that every week between now and April 15th. We'll be where we need to be, right?
We need $20 and $5,000.
Yeah, those are the goals. 20 events and $5,000 raised. If you don't have a name tag and want one, there's another sign-up sheet back on the table. And when you're leaving, just take off your name tag and put it in that wicker basket that's right under our tree of life there, and we'll refile them in the book for you. They're very useful, especially for those of us who have difficulty remembering names. But it also helps us just get to know each other better. So please sign up for one if you don't have one. Take a look at all that's coming up in your bulletin. Next Sunday at 2 p.m. there's a spring nature hike at Charleston Falls. And you get a special treat next week. We'll be getting the message from one of our ministerial students from Chicago. His name is Russ Laguerre. He's fabulous and you will love him. So don't miss next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. If there's something you'd like prayer for after the service, just ask one of the practitioners. They're all wearing a white or a teal stole, and they will be happy to pray with you after the service. It's their gift to you. They are very skilled and experienced at knowing the truth for you, even when it's hard for you to see. So let them help you through your moment of transformation. Take a few minutes at the end here to introduce yourself to people around you that you may not know. A handshake or a hug, and getting introduced to somebody that you don't know will make your day. So try it. And thanks to everybody who made this morning's service possible, our ushers and greeters and practitioners and welcome team and amazing Higher Mind Band. Thank you guys. That was such a good time. And all of you, thank you for being here. So let's stand for our closing affirmation and our closing song, which is again appropriate. I release and I let go. Woo! We've been doing a lot of letting go today, huh? So please repeat after me. Today I accept my transformation.
Today I accept my transformation.
I surrender my fears with joy.
I surrender my fears with joy.
And I anoint my life with love.
And I anoint my life with love.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Have a wonderful, wonderful week.
You too.